If your home isn't selling in Ottawa right now, it may not just be because of the market. It might be because there's something inside your home that's turning people away without you even realizing it. I've walked into listings before where homeowners probably thought the place was perfect, but within a couple of minutes, I could see a few things that were probably going to cost them offers. And the worst part was most of these are pretty easy fixes. So today I'm going to break down a few of those things that you should never leave in your home or at least visible when you're listing your property for sale. Now the first couple here are pretty obvious. It's medications and valuables. When your home's on the market, strangers are coming through. And while realtors do the best they can to vet everyone, they don't really necessarily know their clients that well if they're just starting out. And unfortunately, not everybody coming through your door is there to buy. Some are people who are just looking to browse. Some might be looking to snoop if they're a neighbor or something like that. And every now and then you'll come across someone who may just be looking for something that they can grab. Now, these people are definitely in the minority. The vast majority of people coming to see your home are not looking to take anything. But medications specifically are a big one. If there's anything that could be considered addictive, painkillers, sleep aids that are just kind of sitting on your counter, that's something you definitely want to at least tuck away into a medicine cabinet or even take it out of the house entirely if you're concerned. It's an uncomfortable thing to think about, and it happens pretty rarely, but it does happen. And the same goes for any valuables, jewelry, watches, cash, small electronics. Anything that someone could easily kind of pick up and walk away with, that's something you probably want to tuck into a cabinet or, again, just kind of take it out of the house if it's something you're really concerned about. Now, the next one is a big one, and I think one of the most important ones, and that is pet smells or any evidence of pets in the home. Now, I love pets. I've been a dog owner most of my life. I love cats. But the thing is, most people tend to become nose blind to their own home. You don't smell what a buyer is going to smell when you walk through the front door. And pet owner is one of the fastest ways to make a buyer lose interest. I actually had something like this happen just last week. It wasn't a pet odor specifically, but there was a smell as soon as we walked into one of the listings we were seeing. And within like 10 seconds, we didn't even get past the front door closet. The buyers were like, let's get out of here. Like, when's the next one? We're not interested in seeing this place. There was an overwhelming odor and it just made them leave. With pets though, it's not just the smell to watch out for. If you have pet toys scattered around or food bowls that are obvious on the kitchen floor, a litter box, that kind of thing, they can distract buyers a little bit from actually seeing the value in your home. They stop picturing themselves living there and start thinking about cleanup or shampooing the carpets or whatever they're going to need to do after they move in. Even buyers who love animals don't want to be reminded of somebody else's pets while they're trying to picture themselves in the home. And then there's the wear and tear that comes along with owning pets. Scratches on the doors or hardwood, damage to the drywall, or I've seen chewed trim before as well. These are all signals to the buyer that the home might need a little more work than it looks like on the surface because of the pets. And when buyers start questioning whether or not you're doing a good job maintaining the home, that puts you in a much weaker position for negotiating on things like price. So a few things I'd recommend for this one is definitely deep clean your floors, but specifically your carpets and rugs before you list. If it's something like a throw rug, it might be worth replacing the rug entirely. Also, get the air ducts cleaned. I know it's annoying when people call you trying to ask you to clean your air ducts, but call a legitimate company and get someone to do it because it makes a bigger difference than a lot of sellers think. And a lot of people put off doing it or don't do it for the entire tenure that they live in a home. So if you have pets especially, you've got hair and dander and stuff getting sucked up into the HVAC system, this is something that can make a real difference. The next one is personal photos and private documents. When buyers walk through your home, the goal is for them to picture themselves living there, their family in the kitchen, their kids in the backyard. But when every wall is filled up with your own family photos and every shelf has your keepsakes and trophies, it makes it harder for them to picture themselves and their family living and growing in this space. They feel like they're walking through somebody else's life instead of imagining what their own's going to be like once they purchase the property. So take down any family photos if it's practical to do so. Pack away the sentimental stuff. I know it feels weird because it's your home, but the more neutral you can make the space, the easier it is for buyers to connect with it and potentially picture themselves living there. This is about safety too. You don't want strangers knowing what your kids look like, how many you have, especially if you have a child's name on their bedroom door or above the bed. That's information that in today's day and age, it's probably better to leave private if you can. And the same thing goes for personal documents. Anything like bank statements, credit card bills, tax paperwork, anything that has your personal information or SIN number on it, much like the valuables, you want to make sure that stuff is tucked away. You'd think that people would avoid looking at that stuff, but you'd be surprised how many times buyers will just like flip through something if it's sitting on the counter. It's not ideal and they shouldn't be doing it, but the better option is just to pack it away and make sure it's a non-issue. Now, this one sounds obvious, but number 4 is anything that's cluttered or too much furniture. Shelves packed with books, countertops covered in appliances and gadgets, collections on every surface. It makes your home feel smaller and more chaotic than it actually is. But it's not just the little stuff. Having too much furniture in the rooms is also a pretty big problem. A big sectional in the living room that's already tight, or an oversized dining table, if you have too many pieces in a room, all of it makes it feel more cramped than it actually is. Think about what it feels like when you walk into a model home. They're super clean, they're minimal, there's breathing room in every space, and that's what you're aiming for. You don't have to go to the extreme, but the closer you can get to that, the better your home is going to show and the more easy it is for people to picture themselves living there. So the advice here is, before you list, do a walkthrough of every room and ask yourself, does this piece of furniture actually need to be here, or does it make the room just feel smaller than it is? Now, number 5 is a bit of a sensitive one, but it is pretty important. If you're going through any sort of separation or divorce, you want to make sure you avoid putting anything out there that's going to allow buyers to pick up on that. When I'm working with buyers and we're walking through homes, we're all kind of reading the space when we're going through there. And one of the things that we're looking for is any sign that the seller might be motivated to sell quickly. So signs of a separation is one of the biggest tells. If one side of the closet looks like it's been emptied while the other one is still full, if there's only one toothbrush in the holder, or a bedroom that's been completely cleared out and converted from a second adult space into something else. I'm not saying this to be harsh, but the job is to help buyers get the best deal that they can, and understanding the seller's situation is a huge part of that. So if you're in that situation, try to stage your home as if everything is normal. Keep the closet space balanced, keep the toiletries in place. Don't give buyers any ammunition to assume that you're under the gun and need to sell quickly. Because the moment they pick up on that, they're going to start to try and lowball offer you and be harder on you in the negotiations. The key is to keep buyers focused on the value of your home, not your personal circumstances and how they could potentially take advantage of those circumstances. And the last one, this one also kind of goes without saying, but you'd be surprised how many times people don't abide by it, is you. You want to make sure you are not in the house for the showing. Nothing makes a buyer more uncomfortable than a seller being there during the showing. The moment you're in the room, the dynamic changes completely. Buyers won't open closets, they won't linger in rooms, they won't have honest conversations with their agent about what works about the house and what doesn't. They're too busy trying to be polite to you and not offend you, basically. And the other risk here is that sellers talk. I've seen it happen a few times where a seller starts chatting with a buyer during an open house or during a showing, trying to be friendly and helpful, and accidentally gives away information that weakens their negotiating position. You know, information about their circumstances or the fact that they've bought a house already and they're under the gun. When you hire an agent, part of what you're paying for is somebody who knows exactly what to say in these circumstances, and more importantly, what not to say to protect your negotiating position. So let them do their job. When a showing is booked, leave, go for coffee, take the dog for a walk, go to the gym, something like that. Just make sure you're not there if you can help it. I know it feels strange to leave your home unattended while strangers walk through, but trust me, your home shows a lot better when the buyer feels like they can be comfortable and talk openly about what works and what doesn't for the home. The good news is none of these are complicated fixes, but in Ottawa's market right now, where buyers have more choice than they have in a long time, the sellers who are paying attention to these little details are the ones who are more likely to get offers. The market is tough, but it's tougher if you leave a lot of these things out in the open.